Coverage of the 422nd Quidditch World Cup continues, as a break in play allows for this sidelines report. 100,000 fans have just witnessed a Wronski's feint. Ireland leads 30-10. The feeling inside the stadium, guys, it's electric. The match begins with displays from both teams. The Bulgarian Vila delighted the stands, and the Irish Leprechauns gave a spectacular display. The Irish are being represented by chasers Mullet, Troy, Morgan, and beaters Connolly and Quigley. Ryan is the keeper and seeker is Lynch. Taking the field for Bulgaria, chasers Ivanova, Zograf, and team captain Dimitrov. Volchanov and Volkov are the beaters, and guys, they are super intimidating. The keeper is Levski, and seeker is none other than Crumb. The legendary Moste is officiating. The pace of this game has been so fast. The Irish chasers are a well-oiled machine, and Troy put up the first points. Ireland scored twice more before Ivanova was able to get Bulgaria on the board. Things seemed to be headed for a quick end, as both Crumb and Lynch went in screaming dives towards the ground after the snitch. Not until Lynch actually hit the ground did I, or what felt like this entire stadium, realize Crumb had pulled off one amazing Wronski's feint. Timeout has been called to allow the Medi-Wizards to try to get Lynch back on his broom, and I can see Crumb desperately circling to find... Oh, wait, guys. Yeah, okay, yeah, with that cheer right there, Lynch is up, and just like that, we are underway. Abby, reporting here from the Cup.
And hello, welcome back to the podcast that must not be named. I am Luke.
I'm Melissa.
And we are here doing Harry Potter, Book 4, and the Goblet of Fire, the Quidditch World Cup. Special thanks to our Quidditch correspondent for this extravagant recap of such a wonderful match that we are going to discuss here. This chapter was 22 pages, and that is 3% of the book.
Harry and the others arrive in the top box to watch the match. Harry spots a bat-eared creature behind him, thinking it's his old friend Dobby. However, it turns out to be a female house elf named Winky, who is saving a seat for her master Barty Crouch. She tells of what Dobby's been up to lately with his freedom. They are joined by Bagman, the Minister of Magic, and other dignitaries, as well as the Malfoys as the match is about to begin. We are entertained by the national team's mascots, Leprechauns for the Irish, and Vila, very beautiful siren-type creatures, for the Bulgarians. The match begins, and it's a hard-hitting, raucous affair, even causing the mascots to get involved at times. The Irish dominate with the quaffle, but no one is a match for Crumb, who gets the snitch, even though the Irish had too much of a lead. Who would have guessed an outcome like that? Well, apart from Fred and George, that is.
So it looks like we had some character introductions there.
Yeah, sure did.
We met Winky, the house elf.
Yeah, not Dobby.
Not Dobby, decidedly female.
We met some very important wizards. There was just a whole group as the press box was filling up, the top box was filling up, and they were just called very important wizards. One of which came in with Cornelius Fudge, and that was the Bulgarian Minister of Magic, Mr. Oblonsk. Mr. Obolonsk. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I need Barty Crouch for this kind of thing.
We also met Narcissa Malfoy, who looks like there's something smelly underneath her nose. Exactly. She'd be pretty if she didn't look like that.
We had a little bit of a magicabulary mixed with character, I'll say. So I hesitated on this one as to which category it should go into, but I'm going to go with Vila as a character introduction.
In which case, then the Leprechauns also fall under character introduction.
Exactly. I feel like there's been a few times where I lumped groups of beings into magicabulary, and I feel like that might not be completely correct. So,
well, they definitely had some strong character interactions in this chapter, so
yes.
I'm going to go with characters.
I think that's fair.
Because boy, were they.
So then we have the entire Bulgarian Quidditch national squad, including Dimitrov, Ivanova, Zograth, Levski, Volkanov, Volkov, and Crumb.
Following that, we also have the Irish national team with Connolly, Ryan, Troy, Mullet, Moran, Quigley, and Lynch, who then gets a first name later on in the chapter. He's Aiden Lynch.
Oh, it's a good name. Quite Irish. The final new character that we are introduced to this chapter is the acclaimed chair wizard of the International Association of Quidditch, the IAQ, if you will, Hassan Mustafa.
We got to go to a new place. Luke, are you?
I'm here.
I can't see you. There you are. We got to go to a new place. And it was the Quidditch World Cup pitch and the top box within the pitch.
Mm-hmm. The whole stadium itself. Pretty impressive stadium for sure. We also had a reference to a new location as well, being St. Mungo's Hospital for magical maladies and injuries. We also had quite a few magicabularies showing up in this chapter.
I would say it's not the most magicabulary we've ever had, but it's a healthy amount.
A healthy amount, yeah, definitely.
So we had Muggle repelling charms.
The way it was capitalized, I was like, that seems like a specific thing that they're referencing.
Well, it's more like a category of things. It's not like there was one repelling charm. It's
magic, kind of.
It's a subgroup of charm work.
Perfect. Yep. We also had some advertisements showing up on the big board, which I thought were great, including the Blue Bottle, a broom for the whole family. Mrs. Scour's all-purpose magical mess remover. No pain, no stain. And Glad Rags Wizard Wear.
We had two charms. I believe they're charms. I'm going to go with charms. One for being loud, sonorous, and one for being quiet, quietus. Does it work on classrooms?
It seems like it's more of a self-use. I would imagine there's maybe an external use similar.
Man, wouldn't that be an interesting parenting charm?
Sonorous, backseat. No, I mean quietus.
Quietus.
Quietus. Oh no.
Sonorous to myself to yell at you.
Yeah. We had several different Quidditch techniques and or formations, but we'll go with the Hawk's Head attacking formation, the Porskoff ploy, and the Wronski defensive feint. The Wronski feint.
I also noticed that we had a particular kind of foul, Quidditch foul, cobbing, which is the excessive use of elbows. Feels to me a bit like the handball that you might get in soccer.
Right.
Same kind of feeling to that.
I think that's fair.
Hey, guess what?
Did you remember?
I have it open. I am looking at it. I know that my goal for this book is illustrations, and I did really good at the beginning, and I kind of failed the last couple, so I am here with my picture. I knew it was coming. I even had listened to these books on audiobooks, and I'm like, but I have to look at the picture. It only took me 4 books. I'm totally fine. Fell off the wagon a little bit. I'm back on.
Yeah, so there it is. I've actually got it up on the actual video screen as well.
Wow, that's fancy for people who can't see us. Sorry, people.
So chapter 8, looks like Victor Crumb, I'd imagine, about to catch the snitch.
And a bludger to the head.
Yeah, about to break his nose, right?
I know. What a fancy nose that is. Do you really think he's wearing those kind of sneakers, though, with the big, thick soles? To me, that is just so not going to be aerodynamic for flying.
I was going to point out these boots that he's wearing.
Right?
I mean, that just seems extreme, doesn't it? Like, maybe there's like a benefit to, a real hard sole shoe for takeoff and maybe defensive purposes while flying.
Like bludgers are keepers, but not a seeker.
I don't know. It seems much. It works for him.
It does. And I like the flying hair billowing out behind him.
Yeah.
The shoes are a little much for me. Notice, though, he gets to use his right hand to catch the snitch.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He doesn't look quite as, ugly as it seems like he's described.
I think they're missing some facial features.
Yeah.
Some more severe facial features.
So let's get into some of your notes for this chapter, Melissa. What do you got?
Okay, so team mascots are really like badly trained cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're supposed to show up and be all excited and cheer on their team, but it's like they got their cheerleaders out of a detention facility. I don't know. I don't know if those were like, that's a good fit. If I was coordinating the 1998 Quidditch World Cup, I might rethink the use of mascots.
I think that's pretty reasonable. It seemed like there was quite a bit of contention between the two sides, and for how the Vila can kind of influence or somewhat even control, it seemed like a mass population. That seems dangerous to have around 100,000 spectators.
Okay, so let's go to that point. That was my next little point. Vila, good or bad?
I don't know. I mean, it's like any tool or ability. It's neither good nor bad. It's how you use it.
Okay, but again, 100,000 people in a stadium.
I mean, even Harry thought he questioned why he had the shamrock pinned on his shirt. I mean,
That's
it's
true.
definitely a way to encourage more people to cheer for your side, I guess.
Maybe that was the innocent theory, and it blew up in their face. It blew out of proportion. Maybe got out of hand a little bit.
Especially when the leprechauns kind of really started, poking back at him. Like becoming aggressive in return,
Agitating them.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it was just a hot mess.
Okay, so that takes me to my next point. Leprechauns. Leprechauns can fly. Who knew?
Yeah. I mean, seems like getting to the end of that rainbow would be a lot easier if you could just fly to it, right?
Right? Yeah, that was a point I was unaware of. So all the things I'm learning today.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I have like a least favorite part of this chapter and a most favorite part of this chapter.
Okay, let's hear it.
And I'm going to sound like I'm being really nitpicky. Again, I love Harry Potter. I've been doing a Harry Potter podcast for 2 years now, and we're in book 4, and I love all things Harry Potter. So grains of salt with this next comment. I don't like that the Weasleys were in the top box. It has always sat badly with me that this family, who doesn't have a lot of money, was able to not only purchase an exorbitant amount of tickets, because, hi, big family, to this function. They also were able to get tickets for 2 buddies of theirs. And it wasn't just tickets. It was tickets in the highest top box ever. And I know they didn't purchase them. It was more of a favor repayment. But those are like, they have that many tickets to repay the favor. It doesn't gel with me well. And so before you justify it, am I wrong in my feeling at all? And then you're going to justify it, or I shouldn't be feeling this way?
So how many tickets is it? Right. We've got the 2 girls. We've got Harry and Ron. We've got the 2 twins. We've got Percy. We've got the 2 brothers. We've got Arthur. 10 tickets.
That's more than any other group up there, except for maybe the plethora of important looking wizards.
Right. Which we don't really know how many there are. And it is Ludo Bagman's thing. I mean, he's been a big integral part, at least on paper, to get this done.
I'm sorry. Delayed reaction. That was funny.
And I mean, he's the MC, the host, the commentator on the whole thing. I don't think it's surprising that he has 10 to give. I think it's a very convenient number.
Well, and he has 10 to give in the top box with all of the important, high-ranking officials of the world who are here for the, you don't just have 10 in a high but not quite the box. I've tried that argument with myself. I do it every time. And I have been to many, many sporting events, and it is not that easy. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of places in stadiums to sit. You're telling me that it just so happens that that's where his 10 friends and family tickets were, and that's who he chose?
Yeah, I don't think what you're saying is unreasonable at all.
Okay, thank you. That's what I needed, that I'm just not overreacting to it a little bit.
I'm going to try to somewhat justify it in a way.
That's fine. I just needed to know that I was okay, that I wasn't wrong in feeling like this.
You are not in.
Okay, all right, justify away.
It's Harry Potter. like, who is world famous, right? I mean, the Bulgarian minister knows who it is once he realizes who it is.
Yeah.
So, like, there are certain concessions that are likely being made because it's Harry involved as well.
Do you think Ludo knew that Mr. Weasley was going to bring Harry when he gave him the many tickets?
I mean, I feel like that would have been part of the discussion. I don't know. I'm with you. It's a lot of tickets. Like, how much is that really? I mean, even Lucius was like, surely your house wouldn't fetch this much. Like,
and that's not an unreasonable statement.
right.
I hate to agree with Lucius Malfoy, but here I am doing it.
That's the thing about the Malfoys is, like, they make some valid point. Like, you don't like what they're saying, but there are times where it's like, he's not.
Yeah.
Like, that makes you hate him more.
Yeah. Darn those people, truth-telling.
So I don't think you're incorrect, and I think I'm with you. It's really convenient for the story.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I do. I just, it's one of the few times that I just, like, it can't just be okay and move over it. Like, I bump on it every time.
Mm-hmm. It seems like it would probably have made more sense if, like, they got 4 tickets.
Right. But then who do you bring? You're not going to bring Harry, Ron, and Hermione and Arthur.
Right. So I'm thinking Percy would probably still be there, but he might not be there on the Ludo ticket. He could be there on...
Oh, no. He's not that high ranking. He is not that important.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Weatherby? No.
No.
Maybe in like 3 years.
I was trying to
maybe,
switch it.
you know what I mean? Like, maybe in a few years he will, but right now, no.
Fair. Yeah, I can't justify it.
Okay. Now I have a favorite moment.
Okay.
I know we don't do favorite moments, so I'm not saving this for our superlative section because we don't have one of those. But I have a favorite moment. It's not a line. It's like an action. And it's when the Bulgarian minister starts speaking English and Cornelius Fudge freaks out. And he's like, what? What? You can speak English? What? Huh? The Bulgarian minister's just like, it was funny.
It was very funny. I've been doing sign
funny.
language all day.
Right. That's hysterical. So that's it. That's the last of my notes. I really like that moment of just pure comic genius for his own entertainment.
And I like in the next paragraph, like when, it goes on to say, and as the Irish team performs a lap of honor flanked by their mascots, the Quidditch World Cup itself is brought into the top box, roared Bagman. Harry's eyes were suddenly dazzled by a blinding white light as the top box was magically illuminated so that everyone in the stands could see inside. Squinting toward the entrance, he saw 2 panting wizards carrying a vast golden cup into the box, which they handed to Cornelius Fudge, who was still looking very disgruntled that he'd been using sign language all day for nothing. I love it. It's so great. He's just so frustrated.
I would probably be frustrated too in that moment.
Oh yeah. I mean, that seems like a lot of work.
But at the same time, like, I admire the brilliancy of the Bulgarian prime minister because, like, you gotta really commit.
Oh yeah.
Like that's an improv acting choice that you gotta own it.
Yeah, it's almost like, whenever he showed up and first met Fudge, that, like, he realized Fudge didn't know whether or not he spoke English and didn't bother to ask or anything. So he, like, the assumption that Fudge made initially is what set Oblonsky's mentality of, well, if he's not going to ask, I'm just going to keep acting like I don't. Why not? Like, so my point is Cornelius probably brought this on himself.
Not surprised. I agree with you completely.
So some of the thoughts that I had this chapter were, we got some insight from another house elf for the first time, right? This is the second house elf we've ever met and seems to be quite a bit different than Dobby.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Dobby, so I'm okay with it being different.
Right. So my main point is, Winky really doesn't think that Dobby is better off having the freedom that he has. And I don't know,
it's not something we've seen before.
Yeah, I just remember being taken aback. It was like, because that's, like, how would you not want that? Like, like, how is that not just something that,
Right.
It's just a natural thing that you would want, but apparently it's not necessarily. And it seems like someone who is enslaved and doesn't know any different doesn't necessarily know or see the value in it, and even kind of looks at having freedom as a potentially detrimental thing.
Maybe.
Kind of what I'm looking, like, it seems like from Winky. I don't know. It was just, I remember that being a very curious thing that always stood out to me when I was younger growing up, for sure.
Yes.
What do you think about meeting Mrs. Malfoy for the first time?
She doesn't have much personality.
Yeah, we didn't. It was more just the physical description of her, I guess, more than anything. It always stuck out to me that I'll let you read it.
His mother was blonde too, tall and slim. She would have been nice looking if she hadn't been wearing a look that suggested there was a nasty smell under her nose.
That line always stuck with me. I just as being funny and very descriptive. Like I can just see her. You know what I mean? Like it really solidified
pursed lips and shriveled nose and probably shoulders held really far back and chin up just slightly.
Yes.
And you don't even need to say all those things because
the nose was all you needed. Like the
nose knows.
The nose knows, as they say.
True.
Overall, I thought this was a really exciting Quidditch match.
I do too. I was very entertained by it. I don't really have any comments on it as per my notes, but it just was really interesting to watch what real Quidditch looks like as opposed to kids playing Quidditch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was cool getting Harry's perspective on like, wow, okay, they're fast. Like this really is a different level. You know, like this is like a lot of these things that Oliver Wood was talking about, it seems like it's just second nature to what these athletes are doing. And it was just kind of interesting to get his perspective on, this elite level of something that he is passionate about, but doesn't have a ton of experience in. I mean, he's only played for 3 years, right? So, and didn't know what it was growing up. So he really only has basically taught by Oliver Wood's school of Quidditch. And I'm not saying that's bad at all. It's just limited compared to what true elite level is.
Yes. I really enjoyed it. I like seeing the professional play.
Mm-hmm. And I really thought the writing was done well to keep it interesting reading. It didn't dwell on certain things. You got all the feeling of this is very fast, like so fast that Ludo Bagman, it was like hockey. It was like, oh, you're just saying the names of the players because that's about all you can get because it's that quick at times.
Yep.
And you're just like, Levski to Volkanov and all these things. And I feel like JK really captured the speed of it well, along with the brutality that came into the match of, such a passionate group and the penalties that were flying around and the Vila getting, Hassan Mostafa distracted, I thought was hilarious. That was all funny. And, I don't know, just a really, really well-written Quidditch match compared to some other ones that we've seen. Whenever we get towards the very, very end of this match, and I'll just go ahead and read it. After the cobbling, which is the excessive use of elbows. Oh, I thought I highlighted it. There it is. Half the crowd seemed to realize what was happening. The Irish supporters rose in another great wave of green, screaming their seeker on, but Crumb was on his tail. How he could see where he was going, Harry had no idea. There were flecks of blood flying through the air behind him, but he was drawing level with Lynch now, as the pair of them hurtled toward the ground again. "They're going to crash!" shrieked Hermione. "They're not!" roared Ron. "Lynch is," yelled Harry, and he was right. For the second time, Lynch hit the ground with tremendous force and was immediately stampeded by a horde of angry Vila. I laughed out loud when I read this again today. It just, they're gonna crash. "No, they're not. Lynch is." And splat. I cracked up.
And then stampeded by the horde of angry Vila. Yeah. Like, to add insult to injury, you're literally in the biggest game of your life, on the biggest stage, the championship game, and you can't stay on your broom, man.
Yeah.
Twice.
I mean, you gotta.
And then you got stampeded by angry blonde chicks.
Benefit of the doubt that the first one, he got tricked, right? I mean, he just got outthrown, and this one, he's probably still woozy, and he's just going all out. I mean, much credit to his valor, and commitment. It's just unfortunate that it's on such a public stage, like you were saying.
Aidan Lynch is the Sir Cadogan of this book.
Oh, ouch.
With the valor, maybe not with the annoying part, but the valor and the let me finish the quest and...
Yeah, that's funny. I felt so bad for him, but I couldn't help still laughing. It was.
I'm really glad that somebody decided not to let him back on a broom the third time.
Right.
He's just riding on the back of someone else's broom, barely.
Right.
Hanging on for dear life.
But my final note here is right in that same vein, and Crumb catches the snitch to end it on his own terms. And
yeah,
the twins were right.
I like when the twins are right. Shocking, because a lot of other people didn't seem to get it, but...
Yeah, no, it was a risky bet, but seems like it's paid off for him. And I just like Crumb kind of doing it, even though he knows they're pretty much out of it at this point. He's still kind of showing, well, regardless, I'm the best at what I'm doing, and I'm doing everything I can to at least do something. Like, it's better to lose 160 to 150 compared to 310 to nothing.
Right. Mean, was it 160 to 150 or was it 170 to 160? I thought they had one.
They had 10 points.
Yeah, you're 170 to 160.
Yeah, they scored early on. You are correct.
Get it over with. Just rip off the Band-Aid, man.
Basically, this isn't coming back. This is just getting ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't even think my team can get 2 goals before
with the way
they get anymore.
The penalties were starting to add up. It was just keep getting worse.
Maybe he was mad at the Vila. And wanted them to get off the field. Potentially,
he should have banked on Lynch not being able to get on his broom again, and knowing that they wouldn't catch the snitch for a while at least.
Play with a man down.
See if you can get a couple goals in the next hour. Lynch is going to be probably down for a little while.
But that's not going to change the fact that their secrets were so good.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If it's clearly, that gap is still increasing, then yeah, just do it.
Go for it. But
he got it. I could have given him a couple more minutes to at least.
True.
But anyway, good for him.
All right.
Oh, Melissa.
Yes, dear.
You got any questions for me?
I do.
All right, let's hear them.
There we go. Question 1. Would you want a broom fit for the whole family?
So is this one really long broomstick for multiple people, or is it just saying it's really easy to fly that anyone could fly it?
See?
I hesitated. I wasn't sure which way it seemed ambiguous to me. The blue bottle.
The blue bottle. A broom for all the family. Safe, reliable, and with built-in anti-burglar buzzer. I read it as, I could throw my toddler on the back and fly off. So in my head, I pictured, car seats and, helmets, or, the trailer you put on the back of your bike that your little kids can ride on the inside. This is what I'm picturing with this broomstick.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that's what the intent is. It's a multi-person broom. But then we also had the discussion 2 chapters ago, or last chapter, about the flying carpets, that there needs to be a more family-friendly magical mode of transportation, which is why I'm thinking it might not necessarily be that case. I don't know. Either way, none of them seem very effective. I wouldn't want to just trust my kid on the back of a broom, no matter how much I duct taped them to it. Like a proximity thing. Hey, it just follows the one in front of it. If you have multiple.
But how does it keep them on?
Oh, you're not going to fall off a broom. It's got auto upright sensors, The
6-month-old might. You can roll right off of that thing. See? I'm telling you,
I think we need.
I have questions.
We'll put a request for fan art of the blue bottle. We need a couple different renditions, and
maybe we can have a boat.
Yeah, we have a couple different renditions, and put a poll up on Twitter once we have a few.
All right, people. I need some illustrations.
We need some help.
All right. Question 2. What new Quidditch rule might be put in place because of the mascot interference with the referee?
Oh, that's a tough one. How do you regulate something that, if it's
should theoretically not interfere with the game in the first place?
Right, and hopefully the Quidditch officiator is skilled enough to not be affected by it, or resilient enough to be affected by it. But, I don't know. Nothing that is, 1, dangerous, 2, can influence others in a way that could be potentially negative, or,
But they all have magic.
Yeah, but it's different when you have some sort of this mental control lure.
Okay.
Thing.
Okay.
Again, I don't know how to word it. I don't know, but I feel like something should potentially probably be done. But then I also don't want to stifle the country's like natural.
But it might be like, okay, they have to stay in particular. They don't get to go on the field anymore. Maybe they have to be in the stands. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like there could be a lot of different things that they put in place, but I definitely think it'll be addressed.
Probably. I would think so.
Okay.
I can't remember if there was anything in the Quidditch Through the Ages book. We'll touch back on that when we get there after
Excellent.
book 4.
After book 4. Oh, right. That's coming up next. Question 3. How do omnioculars work?
I don't know.
And I will explain my question a bit. So when Harry was watching in slow motion, he was watching one part of the field and completely missed the goal on the other part of the field, but then sped up his omnioculars and was able to see the goal, even though his omnioculars weren't pointed at that section of the field.
Right.
So I would understand if you could slow down what you were pointed at. But this sounds like they have almost like 360 degree view of the field. What?
Omnidirectional view.
Right. But they're not recording that. I just want to know how they work.
Well,
besides magic.
Well, technologically, we're getting to a place where you can do these things now, honestly. And you're very focused on, we're so used to doing a camera based, which is, yes, you see what the lens sees and that's it. But if you have a 360 degree view to choose from and record in all directions, then yeah, you should be able to go and pan and point and zoom and slow in those areas, regardless if you saw it actually happen.
So you think the omnioculars? Okay.
That's how
all right.
look at it, at least.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
Incredible battery power.
Yeah, no kidding. And memory storage.
Magical battery.
Question 4. What other thoughtless acts, like Harry and Ron wanting to jump off the top box, right, might have occurred within that stadium of 100,000 people because of Vila influence?
Oh, I feel like there were probably some relationships that ended.
Okay, there's one. What else happened?
Other thoughtless acts. I feel like men, most likely.
Most likely.
Dropped different concessions on people standing in front of them.
Ooh, fun. Beer head.
Yeah, beer head, nacho head.
The nacho head.
Yeah. I'll be pulling jalapenos out of my shirt for days. Out of my robes, I should say. And I'll think of one more. Other thoughtless acts. I wonder if we didn't see anything from the players' side, but I wonder if we didn't see it, but one of the, we know that the keeper for Ireland wasn't doing a whole lot, so he might have been distracted. He might have been slowly flying down at one point, but no one noticed because the quaffle was at the other end the whole game.
I wonder, particularly on their display before the game, because that's when Ron and Harry really seem to kind of lose themselves, and Hermione did not at all. I'm wondering if there is almost like an age maturity thing, too, because Mr. Weasley seemed to be pretty well in control of his faculties during that, whereas Ron and Harry did not. And it didn't say, but I would assume that the varying other Weasley boys had some degree of influence happen to them, because later on when the Vila started doing things, it says, as one, all of the Weasley boys and Harry stuffed their fingers in their ears. So that's 7 people.
Yeah.
So that meant that all of them had some sort of influence on them earlier. But Mr. Weasley did not. So it's almost like with age and experience comes a little bit of knowledge of like, okay, I know not to do this. But again, it's a stadium of 100,000 people. How many other little boys, young gentlemen, tried to jump off or show off in a way to make themselves noticed? It seems very dangerous to have the Vila there.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds very much like sirens in Greek.
Also known as the Lorelei.
Are they?
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, I wonder if Arthur Weasley, since he is in love with Molly Weasley, if it doesn't affect him as much because he doesn't have that lust-filled component associated with it potentially. I don't know, maybe it's his in-love bandwidth is taken up already.
And he knew what Vila were. He's the one who identified the group as Vila. So maybe even having knowledge of it makes it less powerful. Yes. So I just thought of that as something to be watchful for.
Yeah, fair.
All right. Last question. Question 5. Which perspective of elf life is more accurate? Winky or Dobby?
I'm gonna go Dobby. I'm gonna go Dobby.
Because?
Because they're doing work and they should be paid for it.
Okay.
And they should have their freedom.
Okay.
Braveheart, William Wallace style.
I actually think it's Winky a bit. Because, not that I disagree with you, I think they should be paid. But Winky seems to respect her owner, or her master, and Dobby does not. So I would assume that Winky is more like most house elves. Not that she's right, but that her view of her job and her dedication is a little more like the norm than Dobby.
I don't think that makes it okay.
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I said accurate, not righteous. Like an accurate view of what life is like as house elves.
Yeah. I think Dobby's case was a little more.
That's all I meant.
Extreme.
I can agree. Yeah, I agree with you that it's wrong. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, I think Dobby's life, the way he was treated, was more on an extreme of being very, very hate-filled towards the house elves. I believe, I agree with you that Winky seems to have a much better position, and she clearly respects her master and doesn't seem, I mean, she seems to adore this guy from what we can.
Right.
She's doing this, and we know that she's terrified of heights, but she does it. Yeah, she was commanded to, but she also isn't having these outbursts like Dobby had of, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. And I'm going to beat the...
So, is she right? Like, is she more... If I had to pick one of them to be, okay, I need a elf for a commercial. Who's going to give me the best view of what elves really are?
Who was the more average house elf?
Yes.
Hers. Winky.
Yes. Sorry, I probably didn't word my question correctly.
We got there in the end.
Okay, good.
All right, let's get into our chapter superlatives. Melissa, what was that favorite line of yours?
And that, boys, yelled Mr. Weasley over the tumult of the crowd below, is why you should never go for looks alone.
That's true.
I liked it. It was funny. Mr. Weasley kind of sticking it to the voice.
Yeah, it's when they were turning into, like, monsters, right? I mean,
yep.
Ugh, yikes.
Don't we all? It's okay.
Yeah, I'm not touching that one.
Theirs is a little more extreme.
I'm not touching that one.
Vila, not my favorite.
My favorite line is along the same lines of Vila, and it goes, Harry looked down at the field. Hassan Mostafa had landed right in front of the dancing Vila, and was acting very oddly indeed. He was flexing his muscles and smoothing his mustache excitedly. Now we can't have that, said Ludo Bagman, though he sounded highly amused. Somebody slapped the referee. I love it. That's hilarious.
Oh, it's so bad, too. It's like the Vila knew exactly what they were going to do.
Yeah.
Although, for all of that distracting, Bulgaria still only got one goal, so it didn't really help.
Yeah, well, they let up 2 penalties at this point because of it.
Yeah, right? So, not so helpful there.
I know.
Back off, Vila.
Stop giving the penalty shots away. So, who was your chapter MVP?
Oh, this was hard. There was lots of really fun people in this chapter, but I have to go with the Bulgarian Prime Minister.
Reasonable.
For owning his commitment to the non-English speaking day.
Yeah, that's really, really funny.
Yes.
I'm going to give my honorable mentions to the Irish national team chasers, Troy, Mullet, and Moran. I mean, they six-handedly won the Quidditch Cup.
This is true, they did.
I mean, pretty impressive showing. I mean, they showed up, they knew that everyone knew that they were the favorites, and they delivered. I can't say anything against that. You know, they played well, and it showed up.
Can we give like a special secret double honorable mention to Victor Crumb, though?
Totally, yeah.
For owning his game. Like, I mean, really, if I was picking MVP, yeah, you got to give it to the Chasers, but like Victor Crumb deserves like a special mention.
Special, secret, double, honorable, mention. Victor.
Ooh, he's putting it in the notes for me, guys, so it's official.
Special, secret,
Yay.
double, honorable mention to Victor Crumb.
That's right. And that wraps us up for today. We want pictures, specifically, of the broom for the whole family, known as the
Blue Bottle.
Blue Bottle, A Broom for All Families. So if you could please email me those at thepodcastthat@gmail.com, I would appreciate that. Feel free to submit them to me on Twitter at NotNamedPodcast. You can check us and all of our shows out at thepodcastthat.com, where you can find our support us page where you can do things like order yourself a t-shirt from TeePublic or buy your own favorite Harry Potter paraphernalia through our Amazon link. Please subscribe and rate on iTunes. We appreciate any stars you want to give to us or any reviews you want to write.
You can listen to the podcast that must not be named on Radio Public. It's free, easy to use, and helps listeners like you find and support shows like ours. When you listen to our show on Radio Public's Android or iOS app, everyone benefits.
Join us next week when we discuss chapter number 9.
The Dark Mark. Stay imaginary.
Thanks.